Sure, here's a more detailed and extended explanation. What if North Korea launched a nuclear bomb, minute by minute, first 5 minutes? The world experiences immediate shock and disbelief as the news of the launch breaks through global media and official channels. Emergency alerts are rapidly activated in regions that could be affected. People in these areas begin seeking shelter and taking protective measures. Governments and military agencies worldwide receive initial reports and start verifying the details. Initial responses include the activation of emergency response teams and the issuance of public safety announcements. 5 to 15 minutes. Governments of neighboring countries and global powers initiate intensive assessments. Military and intelligence agencies work to confirm the launch and determine the bomb's trajectory. The United Nations Security Council is urgently convened to discuss the crisis. World leaders issue strong statements condemning the action and urging immediate restraint to prevent further escalation. Communication lines between global powers are opened to coordinate responses and share critical information. 15 to 30 minutes. Consideration of military responses begins in earnest. Defensive measures, such as anti-missile systems, are activated to intercept the bomb if possible. Diplomatic channels are utilized to seek immediate dialogue with North Korea. Financial markets around the world react with extreme volatility as uncertainty spreads. Governments prepare for potential fallout, issuing guidance to their citizens about safety protocols and emergency procedures. National security councils meet to formulate comprehensive response strategies. 30 to 60 minutes. Evacuation orders are issued for areas that are directly threatened by the bomb. Civil defense measures are activated, including the opening of public shelters and the distribution of emergency supplies such as food, water, and medical kits. International leaders intensify their calls for de-escalation, urging North Korea to cease further aggressive actions. Media outlets provide continuous updates, focusing on safety information and real-time developments. Hospitals and emergency services prepare for potential casualties and mass casualty events. 1 to 6 hours. Humanitarian aid efforts are mobilized for regions potentially affected by the blast. Global leaders address their nations through televised broadcasts, providing reassurance and outlining steps being taken to ensure safety and stability. Emergency services remain on high alert, with medical personnel, firefighters, and law enforcement ready to respond. International organizations, including the Red Cross and the World Health Organization, prepare for a possible humanitarian crisis. Governments may declare states of emergency and implement martial law in severely affected regions. 6 to 24 hours. The United Nations Security Council drafts and begins to pass resolutions condemning the nuclear attack and imposing severe sanctions on North Korea. International investigative teams are dispatched to assess the extent of the damage, casualties, and environmental impact. Diplomatic efforts are ramped up to bring North Korea to the negotiation table, seeking to prevent further escalation and initiate peace talks. Neighboring countries bolster their military defenses, including heightened air and naval patrols and increased readiness of ground forces. 24 to 72 hours. Global condemnation solidifies as nations around the world join in denouncing the attack. Diplomatic efforts intensify, with major powers working to mediate the crisis and prevent further aggression. Neighboring countries and global military alliances, such as NATO, increase their defensive postures. Humanitarian aid begins to flow into affected areas, providing relief to survivors and addressing immediate needs, such as food, water, and medical care. The international community works to coordinate a unified response to the crisis. Beyond 72 hours, the long-term geopolitical consequences start to unfold. Alliances and security strategies are reassessed, leading to potential shifts in international relations. New diplomatic initiatives are launched to ensure that such an incident does not happen again. Reconstruction efforts begin in the affected areas with the support of international aid and cooperation. The global community continues to work together to address the aftermath, rebuild trust, and promote peace and stability. Environmental assessments are conducted to understand and mitigate the impact of radiation and other harmful effects. First week, the global community continues to rally support for the affected regions. Humanitarian aid flows steadily, with international organizations setting up temporary shelters and medical facilities. Psychological support services are established to help those traumatized by the event. The United Nations convenes a special session to address the crisis, seeking long-term solutions and peace agreements. Governments around the world review and strengthen their nuclear policies and non-proliferation treaties. First month, efforts focus on long-term recovery and rebuilding. International aid continues to support reconstruction, with efforts to restore infrastructure, homes, and public services. Diplomatic negotiations progress, aiming for a comprehensive peace treaty. Global leaders work together to implement stricter controls on nuclear weapons and enhance global security measures. Educational campaigns are launched to increase public awareness about nuclear safety and emergency preparedness. First year, the world adapts to the new geopolitical landscape. Rebuilding efforts continue, with significant progress in restoring affected regions. Diplomatic relations are re-established, and new international agreements on nuclear disarmament are signed. The global community remains vigilant, working to prevent future nuclear incidents. Ongoing support is provided to those affected, ensuring long-term health, safety, and stability. Research into better protective measures and emergency responses is intensified to prepare for any future threats. This comprehensive timeline illustrates the severity and complexity of a nuclear incident, demonstrating the immediate and far-reaching impacts on global security, diplomacy, and humanitarian efforts. The world must act swiftly and decisively to manage the crisis, protect lives, and work towards a peaceful resolution.